you really learn to speak English confidently? Let me help you speed up the process by telling you in 10 minutes. What I learned in 10 years. Hi, my name is Shalima and I'm here to help you become more confident English speaker. Now then, I have spent over 10 years. Oh, actually no. Over 15 years. I should change the title. Over 15 years learning the languages like French and English, and I feel like I'm confident English speaker of those languages. However, what most people don't know is that I have also tried to learn Italian and I was less successful. Why was I successful in some of them and unsuccessful in others? What is it that worked and that didn't work? And how can I help you in become a more confident speaker of English? So guys, in today's video I'm gonna tell you 5 things that works and will help you learn English more effectively. And these 5 things, they are based on linguistic research but also on my personal experiences. So it's kind of mixing a bit of science and a bit of anecdote. And I'll tell you 5 things that work and the opposite that doesn't work. And all of this will help you to become that confident English speaker. So are you guys ready? Let's dive in. So first of all, let's talk about number 1. To effectively learn English and become confident, you must be focused. In English, we say to put the blinkers on or to have your blinkers on. If you have ever watched horse racing, you see the horse have these things on their eyes, right? So they cannot see. These are blinkers. So put your blinkers on is to be very focused and only see one thing, because otherwise you are gonna get distracted and you are not gonna study, okay? So you are gonna be really focused. Guys, my experience in India, did you know I actually lived in India, right? So I taught I taught many students. I was working on them, on their English. I'm an English teacher. So there are some interesting stories there, but maybe for some other day, okay? It wasn't a priority. And this is an important lesson I learned. So you have to make a thing priority. Otherwise something else will come up and you won't do it. Oh, I've got my English classes. No, but I got this to do, and to do that I haven't got time. The biggest lesson I learned then was never to say I don't have time, because what that really means is I choose not to do this, and I learned to change that whenever I said no, I don't have time for this. No, I choose not to do this. That's the reality, because you have time. If you don't your English classes in that hour, you'll do something else, right? So you are not gonna stop breathing for an hour. You'll do it something else. So you choose not to do the English study always, right? So be clear about being focused, making it a priority and saying I choose to do it or I choose not to do it. But it's your choice always. Number 2, be persistent. What a lovely word, persistent, and it means to continue or to keep going. I often tell to my students that learning English is not a sprint. It's not 100 meters. It's a marathon and you need to keep going, right? Be persistent. The thing is, if you go on social media, lots of influencers will tell you, no, you can get fluency in 3 months. You can learn English with these 5 words in 10 minutes. The thing is, as people on social media, we have always got an eye on the views and one eye on the education. And there is always a balance. And so a lot of influencers will try and convince you that's easy. You can do it in 3 months. And you can become fluent. It's not true, guys. It takes time. If you go to the Cambridge English website, I'll tell you, move up to a band like B1 or B2. It will typically take 200 hours of guided study and learning. And the higher up you go, the more time it takes. So very often schools and courses will run for 1 year or 9 months to move up a level. Okay, so taking into account, spaced repetition and all of that, 9 months for a level, so that's more realistic. It does take time, so you must be persistent. And the trick here is, if you enjoy your study, you are gonna be persistent, you are gonna carry on. So do that, enjoy your study, find materials you enjoy, that you like and that are engaging, and that's gonna help you a lot. Let's move on, guys. Number 3. All right, the number 3 is find your mojo. Yes, mojo. What I mean really is mojo, motivation, right? Find your motivation, because you need to be motivated to learn another language like English. One way to harness your motivation, I mean to get motivated, is to have specific and unrealistic goals, and ones that you can measure. I think smart goals, right? But specific and realistic. And I look at the comments in my videos, chats, and sometimes the students say, well, I'm a beginner now and I want to be fluent in English. Okay, guys, it's a nice ambition. And I'm a beginner now, I want to be fluent in English. It's not very specific. What do you mean by fluent, and when, how long? And it's too big, I think, and it's too far away like stars. Make it more specific and realistic. A much better goal would be, I am a beginner now and I want to be able to speak and communicate my ideas on some common topics in the next 6 months. So something like that is much more specific. You could even say which topics, and a teacher will come and say, that's great, and will take you from an A to to B1 in 6 months. That's basically it. And it's something you can measure, especially if you identify the topics. That's something, it's more specific and it's realistic and it's measurable as well. So all of that can really help. Now the thing that with motivation is, you need to feed your motivation. It's like your dog or your cat, if you have one. If you don't have feed your pet, they will become lazy and tired. So they will have no energy, ultimately, I am afraid they will die, like your motivation. So it will disappear. So you must feed your motivation, right? What do you give your motivation? The best thing you can do is remind yourself why you are doing this. Why am I learning English? And maybe it's because you want to travel and speak to other peoples, right? But if you are studying for IELTS, actually your goal is not IELTS, right? Your goal is the reason why, why? Because I want to study abroad. I want to actually work and live abroad, or take my family abroad and have a better life, right? That's why. And so in those difficult moments when your motivation sign down, remember why other thing you can do. And I did this when I was learning German, living in India, and I was not there, right? But still I was learning. I was there for I was learning for a long time. I joined classes, and my sometimes I was doing for my classes, I mean I have done a lot of things, right? I know everything, but I always say the same things, and I don't really know many people. When I went to the class, it was just my level went up, because I was learning much wider, not language, vocabulary, grammar, but I was also connecting with people. I was making friends. I was talking to people in the same boat as me. And we were not in a boat. Automatically, we were in the same situation. And it was great to connect with others. And when my motivation was lagging, we could cheer each other up and say, keep going, connect to others. It was invaluable. And the best thing I ever did, even though I was I was living in Lucknow at that time and joined that classes. Finally, I think a nice thing to do is to reward yourself. I learned this thing. When you reach a goal or a part of goal, just give yourself a pat on the back and I can't reach. But reward yourself. Say, great, I have done it. I have done a month of study. I have studied every day. I have learned to speak about this, this and that. And that was great. Go to the cinema, go and buy yourself a book. Give yourself a little reward. Keep the motivation going on. Feed your motivation. Let me feed you some more ideas, guys. Moving on to the number 4. Number 4 is a big goal. Small steps. Now, this is related to the motivation. So, having a big goal is great. Breaking it down into small steps is really important. What you are gonna do step by step. If you have ever been walking in the mountains, if you like rambling, right? So sometimes you go out rambling. Oh, we are gonna go in a big circle for 10 kilometers and you go. Well, it's gonna take ages. That isn't great. What's much better is to say, well, okay, we will do in a circle, and but first we go to that peak, and then we will go to the lake, and then we will go down the valley and the village. And then we will come round and there are steps, small steps, and you think, oh yeah, that's doable. So little things you will achieve on the way, that's great. So sometimes, now I would like to tell you, sometimes I want to speak in German. I knew that I wanted to speak German and I really wanted to speak to a very high level. I was a bit like I'm a beginner and I want to be fluent in German. But I also realized that not gonna work. So I broke it down. I thought, what am I gonna do the first year I'm here? And I wanted to be able to communicate with family, with friends, because I was at that time I was at airport. I was an air hostess. So that was the key. Like I was getting 100 of people every day. So I wanted to able to have a daily conversation with people on the street or on the at the airport. So like I actually wanted to be able to work like so many people and to function in in German, in Spanish. So I broke that down into 3 goals, each 1 year. And at the first one I remember every day for about 8 months I went for an hour and a half to class before work, because 8 o'clock in the morning to class and to the work, and did that for 8 months. I did that, and that took me up to like A2 level, and I was able to talk to the family and friends and my passengers. Very simple things. All right, so the key was big goal, small steps. So you see guys, the small steps helps you focus on the present moment, on the now. When you have got big goals, you start thinking, oh God, it's so much, it's too much, it's overwhelming. The more you think, the less you are present, right? You are lost in your thoughts. To avoid that, to be present, small steps, because the small steps helps you focus in the present moment, and it works much better. So if you have got your goals to getting so let's say a band 7 in IELTS, think about small steps. First 3 months, the next 3 months, and the next 3 months, like that. What you are gonna do, how you gonna reach it, big goal, small steps. So let's move on. Number 5, practice lots. Yes guys, practice lots. You see, a big mistake a lot of students make, and I did as well, although so I'm gonna blame my teacher at the school with French. At that time I was learning French, is we did like study too much. We just studied, by study I mean reading and learning the rules, learning the grammar, and reading a bit of listening. It was all passive. It was a study. We weren't actually practicing. We were not speaking, and waiting and writing very little, right? And that's what happened with French. And so I got to the age of 20, having studied French or for 10 years, I couldn't speak, and that's ridiculous. So it's so important, practice lots whenever you are now. And as you are studying, whether it's with videos, my videos, or with a book, as you study, practice at the same time. You can practice speaking out, practice, making phrases, changing phrases. You can use the speaking success system that you can learn from my videos. You can practice in the real world. You can practice online, the classmates or the students or the teachers. Online is the real world, guys. Face to face, it doesn't matter, but as you are studying, practice as much as you study, and that will help you to become more effective learner and a more confident speaker of English. Next, the next point, number 6, hang on. Hang on. Yes, you can call it a bonus if you like, a point number 6, and that's a review. And I couldn't leave you without telling you how important it is to review to become an effective learner and speaking of English. Guys, review, because well, there is a lot of science and theory behind this. Do you remember, teachers will probably know, Abingos, Herman, and his learning curves, his learning curves, all well, his memory curves. So some call it a forgetting curve, that after a certain number of hours, or lots of people say 24 hours, or you will forget 70% of what you have studied. So if you don't review, and the several days later you need to review again, or your learning goes down. So there is a lot of methodology around this. And even and Abingos, he was the researcher and he was the person undergoing the research. I think there is a lot of flaws, but the general idea that if you don't review within a day or within a week, you are gonna forget a large amount. So there is always spaced repetition theory, right? And this is what most of the apps, like many apps, I'm not going to take the names, but let me tell you, there are few apps like Parlo and Sparky AI work with that. You learn some words and then the next day they came back again, a few days later they came back again, and that spaced repetition, and it does work, and it's really, really important. So I think it's essential to review. And what I do with my classes, learning English or in French or German, now is after the class I review after a few hours. The notes I have taken, and then a day or 2 days later, or 2 days later, I don't review the notes, but I listen or watch some time on the same topics. So if I have been watching something about weather, I'll listen to the weather report, or I'll watch a film about weather, or I'll do something on a similar topic. So there is a recycling of language, reviewing and recycling. So basically, hugely important, very valuable, and quite easy to do that. Just find time, remember, and don't say I don't have time. It's I don't choose to do it, or I choose to do it. Okay, the choice is in your hands. All right, so there you have it, 5 or 6 different ways to help you become more confident speaker. Now I realize I'm mixing research and anecdote here, right? So, and that's what I did to build my online courses. All right, so it's a mixture. It means it based on researches. So I did in my master's degree on on English literature. Guys, I have just shared a system which is based on my own personal experiences of learning languages. So you can watch about videos about that actually straight after this. All right, and you can find out about the course. I have completed my 30 days spoken English course, which is available on my YouTube, and the link is in my description. If you really want to speak, if you are a beginner, you can go and watch my 30 days videos. All right, after completing, you can go through 15 days spoken English course, which is also available on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe my channel, because here you will get a lot of stuff related to English speaking. All right, so I'll see you in next video. Keep going, keep focusing, and be persistent, motivated, and all rest of it, right? Take care. And guys, this is Shalima signing off. Take care. Speak English with confidence.